That cooperation eliminated costly expenses and time for the commission. Spencer did not recognize any financial gain or benefit as a result of his actions. And Spencer retired from the LVMPD on May 22nd for his primary election, and since that time has not become a public employee or officer. Given the information obtained in the investigation of this matter and the mitigating factors discussed, the executive director and I believe that the terms of the stipulated agreement are appropriate. We'd like to thank Mr. Spencer and Mr. Merkovich for their cooperation in the investigation and in the resolution of this matter. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I am here and have heard the whole proceedings of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You can't see me because I'm in the middle of Wyoming with not dressed appropriately for your meeting.
All right, well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you, Commissioner Oscarson. Mr. Merkovich, do you have any additions to Associate Counsel Bassett's presentation?
No, I do not, Madam Chair. I think the terms of the stipulation that I reached with Ms. Bassett speaks for themselves.
Okay, thank you. Fellow commissioners, do you have any questions of either party?
Yeah, I do. The first is, how did we come up with one violation when there was multiple photographs and video?
This is Elizabeth Bassett. Because it's a stipulated settlement, that was the terms that we reached. It was, again, they were pictures that violated the law. They weren't taken prior to the campaign, and they were primarily limited to places on his social media and campaign websites that related to his background. And so we took that into account as well.
Okay.
Let me ask you this question, because this is a non-willful violation, correct?
Correct.
So my question, after he received the complaint, did he take down those pictures on his social media pretty promptly?
I don't believe they were taken down, but he did retire, which then caused, that's a little bit of an interesting question, because then he was no longer a public employee. And the use of the photos, if he were posted them after he was no longer a public employee, they wouldn't be a violation. So that was kind of one of the interesting facts that was at issue in this particular matter, is that he was not a public employee the entire tenure of his campaign, and the entire time that the photos were up. But I don't believe they were, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Merkovich, but I don't believe they were taken down.
I don't believe that they were, no.
So after he retired, he was allowed to keep them up? I mean, to me, that would be, you're appearing in a police uniform and you're not a policeman anymore. So you're impersonating a police officer then.
I mean, to the extent that they related to his background, though, I mean, he was the sort of like we've discussed in other ones, like the about me section, like I was previously a lieutenant in the homicide division. That is allowed if you're not a public officer anymore. So it's an interesting fact that is one of the reasons we reached this particular stipulated settlement.
I just would add here that there's a jurisdictional question. When he ceases to be a public officer, he is no longer within the jurisdiction of the ethics. He's not impersonating an officer by posting historical photos of himself that are accurate and reflect the positions that he formerly held.
Commissioner Oscarson, do you have any questions? Oh, Commissioner Oscarson, pardon. Oh, Commissioner Oscarson, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am. I think that staff's done a good job with this, and it's interesting as these cases come before us, and appreciate the work that's been done by both sides, by counsel and by the other attorneys as well.
Commissioner Grunwald?
I would like to read a statement into the record. And this is a statement that is the basis for my support of this stipulation. The question is always asked, why does the Ethics Commission protect the use of a uniform, badge, and other accoutrements? My answer, because this is my position, is because the use of a uniform, badge, and other accoutrements belongs to the public. Number two, the public places trust in a law enforcement uniform and badge. Number three, trust that the public will be protected by the person wearing the uniform. Number four, therefore, the Ethics Commission is protecting the public's trust in that uniform. Number five, by wearing the uniform in ads, Spencer was saying the public trusts me. 6, that is a violation of NRS 281A.400, paragraph 7. Spencer, a public officer, i.e. a police officer, was using his government property, his uniform or the uniform, to benefit his own interest in persuading the public to vote for him by bootstrapping the public's trust in his police uniform to the public trusting him in his bid for Las Vegas City Council. Thank you.
Yeah, we struggle with the uniform. I think that when somebody is wearing a uniform and their opponents don't have the same benefit to wear the uniform and people trust first responders, I think that kind of gives them an unfair advantage. And also when you're wearing a uniform, people might think that the sheriff's office is endorsing that candidate. So I'm going to support this stipulation. And I see the mitigating circumstances there. One, he did not run campaign ads with him wearing uniforms and campaign materials. It was basically on a social media site from previous pictures. So I will support it. So fellow commissioners, any more questions? Staff? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Oscar.
I just want to say for the record, I appreciate Commissioner Grunwald's explanation of all that. It was helpful to me and helpful to me to come to a conclusion. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And also, could we have this statement sent to Commissioner Lowry and to the other commissioners that are not here today? Send it by email.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Grunwald, I move to accept the terms of the stipulated agreement as presented by the parties to resolve case number 22-102C Spencer and direct conflict counsel Wayne Klomp to finalize the legal form of the stipulation and other matters relating thereto.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Merkovich, thank you so much for working with our staff in this matter and getting it to come to a final conclusion. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next item, item 6, Executive Director's Agency Status and Operations Report. Executive Director Armstrong, please give us your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the Executive Director Armstrong. I'll start with education and outreach. Tavudi is, which is our new online training management system, is almost, I'll amend my report, say it's almost ready for a soft launch, hopefully by the end of this week. So that will be ready, and we'll start with commissioners and staff and get feedback on that experience. But we have about half the modules are up and ready to go. We just have a few more to upload the rest of this week. So that'll be a priority this week. It will be a helpful addition to the way that we deliver education going forward. I think in particular, that system will be helpful in cases where we require training. Right now, when people are required to do training and they're required to go look at the YouTube video and certify that they've done it, there's no real way for us to verify that. This new system has them set up a username and we can go in and confirm that they've completed tests and passed the quizzes and done all that for the training. So that would be a great enhancement when we have training related to compliance. As you can see, there's a big list of summer trainings scheduled already. Last week, I trained at the Genoa Town Board, which included the board and staff, and about 20 members of the public were present for that. And then the State Board of Medical Examiners, which included the board, and about 15 members of the public were present for that meeting last Friday as well. Upcoming in July, we have the Governor's Office of Economic Development, the Tax Commission, and then the Attorney General's Office has a program for internal continuing legal education credits for their attorneys. So we'll be doing that for them in July, and the Nevada State Contractors Board in September. I also think it's likely that we will present at the Nevada Civil Government Attorneys Conference, which is also in September. And then not on the report, but I did want to note, if you recall, about a year and a half ago, we were featured by the Campaign Legal Center for the transparency of some of our documents that are online in terms of best practices for ethics commissions. And we have been selected again, this time in terms of innovative approaches to education and outreach. And they're going to be focusing on our use of the LinkedIn platform as a way to get the word out to state officials. So I'm interviewing with them this week to provide some background to that, but they asked ethics commissions for ideas that they thought were innovative, and ours was selected. So that'll be nice to be featured in that report when it comes out. Legislative update, the legislative session ended on June 5th. There's still time for the governor to sign and veto bills. And so I'll provide a briefing document when all that is done. Primarily for us, it'll be the open meeting law portions in terms of policy, and may change the way we operate some. There was a first special session about the capital improvement project budgeting bill, and then there's currently one going on related to bringing Major League Baseball team to the state. And so we don't have anything to do with either of those two particular special sessions. And again, I'll provide a legislative briefing document to the commissioners and post it to our website when that's completed. In terms of a budget update, we're focused on closing out fiscal year 2023. The largest reversion clearly will be in category 1 in terms of personnel based on our vacancies. But other than that, we're on track for just some minimal, it's always kind of minimal potential work programs between budget categories, but we're well within our budgetary limits for this fiscal year. And then we'll prepare for the next fiscal year. The big item for our next fiscal year, the big change for us will be the addition of a public information officer to the team, and the expenses related with that. New state positions start on October 1st. So we'll be working with our partners at the Division of Human Resources Management to get that position posted and recruited for and filled as close to that as possible. Then finally, there'll be some annual report planning. The commission, I'm required as the executive director to report certain things to the commission at its second meeting of the fiscal year. And so that will come in the form of the first draft of our annual report, with our second meeting now being in August. So you'll get kind of a first look at that in August, and then we'll approve it as a commission at a later meeting. The major topics for that report will be the progress on the goals we set last year, our upcoming priorities, and then of course, one of the things we did last year was include some data in the back of the book that included analysis. So if you have thoughts on things you'd like to see in the annual report or what our upcoming goals should be, feel free to send them my way, and we may discuss some of those at the July meeting to give me guidance on what I should have ready for you to take a look at in August. So that concludes my report. I'm happy to take any questions from
Fellow commissioners, any questions of our executive director?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Oscarson?
maybe it's just because I'm on vacation and I'm full of happy words today. But I think it's incumbent for me to say, I think the reports that Mr. Armstrong gives us, especially during this session, he and I had some late night phone calls when he was following things. I think it's just commendable that he was aware and paying attention and taking care of the best interests of the commission. I don't know how often that happens, but I'll tell you that I certainly appreciate the updates and the continued communication that he did during the session. And I'm looking forward to the next session when he can stay up late at night and do those kind of things too.
Commissioner Lowry.
I'd like to echo those remarks. A great job on the education and outreach piece. And that's outstanding that you're having us acknowledged by our national peers. And also, again, I will echo your level of responsiveness is just outstanding. So thank you for everything you do to for the commission, Mr. Executive Director, as well as your entire team.
Thank you. Yeah, I am lucky to have a terrific team that helps keep everything in motion, and we're excited to have Wendy on board, and everybody. I think everybody is excited that that legislative session piece is done because it's so disruptive to kind of the workflow as you might get pulled into a hearing at any particular moment. But everybody's been chipping in where they can, and we're excited to have Brandy. I should mention that, I guess, too, in my report, is that Brandy Jensen, who the commission voted to appoint to the position, has accepted the offer of employment to be our commission counsel, and she will start in early August. So we are excited to have Brandy come on. I think there'll be some discussions with Mr. Ott at the Attorney General's office about having a DAG, hopefully Ms. St. Jules, be just assigned as a commission support going forward, because we pay an assessment for the AG's office support anyway. And there are sometimes questions where it would be helpful to have that real attorney-client relationship when we're asking about how other commissions might do particular actions. And so we'll keep that conversation going and not let Ms. St. Jules disappear forever is my goal there. So.
Yes, I mean, it'll be nice that the commission will have its full staff.
Yep.
And I want to recognize all of the staff for wearing multiple hats for the last 8 months, basically. I think it's been, or almost 8 months. It seems like it's been 8 months, but I just want to commend the commission staff for wearing all those hats and keeping everything going and doing so well. And I will say this, during the session, it was great getting the weekly reports of what was going on during session and keeping us posted and stuff. And then it'll be nice when you get your PIO position in there, so that way you can take off a couple hats.
It will be very nice. Our goal is to continue to expand education and outreach. And as we told the commission, as we told the legislature, when you take a look at our training numbers from last calendar year, it represented 1% of the public officers and employees in the state. And so I certainly don't intend on myself ceasing training activities, because with the PIO, we can get maybe to 2 or 3% in-person trainings. With the Tavuti system, we can maybe get that to 6 or 8%. And then I have dreams and hopes beyond that in terms of getting individuals, especially in large agencies. I think we can create a program in our new system where in large agencies, you could have staff, whether that's on the HR team or in the administrative team, become certified trainers from us, and then they can be delivering that content locally and expand out that way. So lots of exciting stuff that the PIO position will undoubtedly help us be able to be more successful in.
And I like the fact that the last couple with the state board medical examiners and the Genoa town board, that you had members of the public present.
It was great. In Genoa, they had members they welcomed members to ask questions at the end of the training as kind of a public comment on the agenda item. And so there were a couple of questions from the general public, and they were all appreciative and engaged throughout the process.
That's good. And, I think training, our main purpose is to train people, government elected officials and public employees on the ethics law, so people don't get in trouble. We don't like seeing people come to us. That's not our job is to train them so they don't end up here. So thank you for all that training. I appreciate it. Other comments? Maybe you could try Chat GPT for the annual report.
Have it write it for us, right?
Try it. I was at a meeting a couple weeks ago and we had a breakout session. We were asked these thought questions and dealing with the accounting profession and attractiveness and stuff. And so our group would come up with ideas, and then this one person was typing into Chat GPT, and the answers we got back were things that we said, and that said it better than us. So it's kind of scary. I think that's it for me. I have a motion to approve the executive director's report as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
We'll have Commissioner Oscarson.
third, I'll do third, Madam Chair.
Right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We'll see. That's his aye. Opposed? All right. Motion carries. Next item, commissioner comments. Any comments the commissioners would like to make? No? All right. Next item, public comment. Are there any members of the public that have sent you emails since we started our meeting?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Russell Armstrong, Executive Director. We've received no more written comment during the course of the meeting. There's no one physically present in our Reno meeting to provide public comment.
There are members of the public on Zoom. None have indicated they would like to make public comment at this time.
Right. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Is there a second?
Second,
All right. Commissioner Oscarson, second. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Vice Chair Dufferin and Commissioner Oscarson for hopping on today. Appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you.
Bye.
Anything for you, Madam Chair, anything for you.
Thank you.